So this is something that wasn't circled around in the mainstream press. Obviously, you can understand why, because it's from Jeremy Corbyn. Now, recently, Boris, Corbyn, and Joe Swinson all went up to the big CIB conference. That's Confederation of I can't remember the acronym now is, but they went up to the big conferences. This is a big gathering of most of the big businesses in the UK, and they did their grandiose speech to get businesses on side to their election. Now, Boris, shall we say, speech was uninspiring. It was far more notable for the gaffe and the question that he got asked. We'll save that for another video, I think, for another time. But I want to go over this part from Corbyn's speech, because one of the criticisms I have against Corbyn is he seems so weak sometimes when he gives speeches, but sometimes he absolutely knocks it out of the park. And this was one of the cases where he absolutely nails it. And of course, because it's Jeremy Corbyn doing this speech, not Boris Johnson, it gets ignored. But I think this completely shows that one of the main things you'll hear, again, he even says it himself, is that he's often claimed to be anti-business. And yet, as we're going to go through his speech, that criticism doesn't stand at all. I'm sorry, but it just doesn't. You can't say that, especially what he's saying here, and especially if this translates into what goes into the eventual Labour manifesto. Then I think you can't really say that Corbyn is an anti-business. So we'll go over it. So it's sometimes claimed that I'm anti-business. That is complete nonsense. It's not anti-business to be against poverty pay, nor is it anti-business to say that big corporations should pay their taxes just as small businesses do. Again, you will see this all the time of big businesses use huge loopholes in the tax code and all sorts of shenanigans to get away with paying vast amounts of tax, which again could be going back into this country to pay for NHS, transport, healthcare, infrastructure, you name it. So it's not anti-business to want prosperity in every part of our country, not just in the City of London. Completely true. Yorkshire, again, one of the biggest areas of untapped, undeveloped resources for labour in the country. And that's a report from the CIB about what they think the failings of, failure to develop the labour in the north of England. These principles are not attacks on the foundations of a modern economy. They are the very opposite. They are the norm in many European countries, which is one of the things we've been saying when some of these things are brought up against Corbyn. They're like, oh, this will never work. This is just a pie-in-the-sky idea. But you're like, wait, hang on. This works very well in Germany. This works very well in France. This works for any. The list goes on and on and on. They are essential steps towards building a genuinely mixed economy for the 21st century. And that is what we have to try and build towards. We have become massively a service economy. And the problem is that can leave a lot of segment of people behind, especially if they're uneducated or not educated. So that can leave a lot of people in society behind. And we have failed to try and upskill and up-educate those people, especially the Tories, because, again, this is partly their fault. In fact, it's the majority of their fault, really. So I say this to businesses. If a Labour government is elected on the 12th of December, you're going to see more investment than you ever dreamed of. You're going to have the best educated workforce you ever hoped for. Amazing. All on board for that. You're going to get world-leading infrastructure, including full fibre broadband. Amazing. Infrastructure, desperately needed, especially in the north. Our rail network is, well, I think we've covered it before, but some stretches of the track in Yorkshire are almost Victorian in their inception, shall we say? And of course, internet. This whole thing about providing internet is alright. Excellent. South Korea does this incredibly well. Over there, it's counted as an education resource, which, again, the internet is an education resource. And of course, they put lots of money into investing in education, and they deem that the internet is an education resource, so everyone should have free access to it. This has led to huge investment in the internet in their country. They have one of the fastest internet systems and infrastructures in the world. It has boosted massively their business because of this. And of course, one of the big things, and this goes against the Tories whenever you hear people say this, you made universal credit. And you made universal credit predominantly and online only. Meaning that many of the people who try to use universal credit can't have access to it because they don't have access to the internet. So making the internet free, you can't say on one hand, you have to be online to use and get universal credit, and then the other hand go, well, free internet, who's that going to benefit? So anyway, it continues. You're going to enjoy fast, reliable transport links. Amazing. Yes, I'm all on board for that. You're going to have certainty of a customs union and access to the single market, things for which you have long advocated. So is Labour going to say that we're going to stay in the single market and customs union? Again, the Labour idea has always been go and renegotiate with an idea of to a customs union, which means they might want to just say, hey, we're going to leave it politically but stay in the single market and customs union. Okay, but once again, there's no point leaving the EU because we have more say if we're in it fully. So that's that. So it continues. Small businesses will see. Late payments tackled. Whether those late payments are larger companies or government. Yes, this is a massive problem for small businesses, and not only just small businesses but freelancers as well. This is companies who continuously, you issue, and I've been in this situation before. You issue your bill, say, oh, done the work. Here's what I did. Here's what we agreed to. Can you pay me within 30 days? You don't get paid within 30 days, so you issue another payment, and they just fob you off. And it can be sometimes an extra month or two before you get paid. And if you're a small business, sometimes having that hole in your cash flow can be huge. So yes, if the Labour government will tackle this problem, this will be a massive boost for small businesses. So business rates reform, because we know the damage they're currently doing to our high streets and communities. Yes, this is again something that needs to be done, because again, you have the internet and everyone's moved online, which basically means they don't have a brick and mortar store anymore. They can just be Amazon and get a warehouse out in the middle of nowhere, away from the town centre, and pay next to no business rates on it. And then you've got your small startup company who decide, well, we're going to buy a shop in the town centre, we're going to start up. What kills them? Business rates. So, absolutely. And predominantly, this is also a local issue as well as councils. So, this will be good to see if this trickles down to local Labour councils and how they're going to tackle the problems of business rates as well. So, access to finance improved with a business development agency as part of a new post bank. Yes! As we've already discussed before, Labour plans to nationalise the post office, and they want to follow the French post office model. This will be amazing. because the French post office does loads of stuff. It's not just for sending mail. They offer banking services, insurance, all sorts of stuff, which the post office does now. But if they're going to offer this as well, and a development agency to help small businesses grow, then yes, I am on board with this 100%. So anyway, he continues, yes, Labour will ask those at the top to pay their fair share, and we will put an end to tax trickery and bring some key services into public ownership. I make no apology for that. Good. Because we all know things can't go on as they are. I just want to live in a decent society, and I know you do too. Yes, 100%. Boom. Smashed it out of the park. So, my end of the thoughts on that, yes, 100%. 100% behind that. Everything. Yes, 100%. Boom, boom, boom. Got all the major points. Satisfies everything big businesses continuously talk about, what they want. Satisfies what small businesses, what they talk about. So if you are a small business or you are in a large business, then you have no reason not to support the Labour Party in this coming election. So, because this message was largely ignored by the mainstream news and press organisations, I would encourage you to share this video around and let people know what essentially Corbyn said here, because I think this was a very good speech by him, and I think it deserves a lot more attention. So also, I've started a page on Buy Me a Coffee, but let's face it, I'm from Yorkshire. I'm not going to be buying me a coffee. I will probably be buying a pint. So instead of buying me a coffee, how about you buy me a pint as a, as a tip, shall we say? But anyway, thanks for watching. And again, remember, share this video around, because this speech does need a lot more attention, and it dispels the myth that Corbyn is very anti-business. So get sharing.